Hello and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'll be teaching you guys how to handle Firebase errors in your Flutter app. Okay, so when working with Firebase in your app, there may be instances where you will get an error from performing an operation. So let's say you are sending data to the database, you are performing authentication, you are retrieving data, whatsoever that's got to do with Firebase. There may be instances where Firebase will throw an error, and you have to handle that error and show the user what actually happened, right? So what you see in most apps is you get this kind of generic error message that states something went wrong. So normally we have a catch block, so try catch block, and within that try catch block, when anything happens, we return a message to the user that says something went wrong. But then that's not very good when it comes to user experience. The user doesn't really know what went wrong and what actions he or she should take next, right? So in this video we'll just be looking at how I go about handling my Firebase errors. So for instance, I have this authentication screen over here, and the first thing I do when it comes to anything related to Firebase is I check if the user has internet connection, right? So let's assume I want to continue with Google or even continue with phone. I have to have internet connection in order to pass this screen, right? Because without internet connection, you won't be able to send a verification code to this number or the easiest number. So if I turn off my internet access right now and wait for a while for this for the simulator to also lose internet access, and then try to enter a number here, and let's try getting an OTP to see if that works, and then we get this error, please check your internet connection. And that's because we don't have internet access. So I don't even get to call Firebase in order to handle Firebase error, because I know anything that's got to do with Firebase, the user must have internet connection, except when I'm retrieving certain data that I know, okay, without internet connection we might have some data in the cache, so Firebase will return data in the cache, right? But in most cases, if I'm writing or doing this kind of authentication, I make sure the user is connected to the internet. So how I do that, I can show you really quick in the code. So there's where I have my submit phone number function, and this gets called when you tap on the get OTP button. So the first thing I do is I check if the network has internet. So there's a method, special method I've created for checking internet connection, and I'm using the internet connection checker package, which I'll leave a link to in the description. So basically this method just calls internet connection checker.has connection, and this will return a boolean that determines whether the user is connected to an internet or not. So I just return that result from this function, and then I use that whenever I want to check if the user has internet connection. So if the user does not have internet connection, then I just show the error snack bar, which is also a custom snack bar I created, and then I pass in my message no internet, right? And I return from the function because I don't want to continue. Now let's assume we have internet connection and then something happens. So a Firebase error occurs. We don't really know what error occurred, because you can't handle all cases of Firebase errors. What most people do is they have a common check, right? So for instance, I have this code commented out here, which checks if the error code is equal to invalid phone number, then I show invalid phone number. If it is too many requests, then I show too many requests. If it is invalid verification code, then I show something else, right? So you can have these kind of tons of if statement checking for which error code we are getting and then showing the appropriate message. But that could be a lot of work, right? So what I do is I have these special Firebase errors JSON or map, depending on which language I'm using. So if I'm building web apps, I have the JSON version, and then if I'm building Flutter apps, I have the map version. So the Firebase errors is just a giant map which has error codes and then the messages attached to them. And then it might be hard or difficult to write all this manually, So I'll leave a link in the description that you can get this and download and use it for your project. So I basically have this giant map over here with error messages, right, associated with them, and then the error code. So whenever I get a Firebase auth exception, so if I catch a Firebase auth exception, I just get the error code from the exception, and then I get that particular message and I show it. And if I don't find an associated error code for that particular error and its message, I just return an invalid phone number depending on which error I'm having, right? So for instance, if I go to my project, anywhere within the authentication domain, data repository, auth repository implementation, right? So within this section I should have something like this, right? So for instance, I have an authentication here which is with Firebase, right? Google sign-in, and on Firebase auth exception I try to find the particular error that occurred. So it might be that the person closed the pop-up modal, or network issue, something timed out. You can't really tell which exact error occurred. So what I do is I just call this I just get the error code from the map I have. So Firebase errors, I pass in the error code. If there is no error code, I try to get an error message first, and then which obviously should give us something, but I have another fallback which is error sign in with Google, which you can literally remove this if you are not interested. I don't think for most cases, or for majority of cases, this error message will be available for majority of cases, although it's nullable, right? So if that also doesn't exist, then I get this error sign in with Google message, which gets sent to the user, right? So this is how I handle errors with Firebase in Flutter, right? And it's good for better user experience. Your users get to know what's actually happened and then what steps to take next. So if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. Also, let me know if you have any concerns related to Firebase and then handling errors. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.